My biggest takeaway from the conference was really that there was a strong alignment between really all stakeholders in the property insurance market in Florida, both the political leadership, corporate leadership, and leadership of the Office of Insurance Regulation. That included, a real desire to try to tackle the systemic problems that were facing the industry. That really paid off shortly thereafter, after the conference, through some actions that were taken in a special session by the Florida legislature. Right. I think the key trend that we are looking forward to is that again, after the conference had ended and the special session of the legislature took place, there were some broad sweeping reforms that were made within the law that included additional assistance to carriers for their reinsurance programs, elimination of assignment of benefits within the state of Florida for property contracts, and elimination of the one-way attorney statutes that really caused a lot of problems with inflation of litigation in the state, and litigation fees really driving a lot of the adverse results that we're seeing in the industry. There are some major changes that we are seeing. Mostly this is driven by an increased appetite by the legislature and the government of Florida to expand public reinsurance. This has happened twice in the last year. Back in June, the legislature passed a law that allowed for the Reinsurance to Assist program, which effectively granted free reinsurance for a one-time use to carriers in the market. This helped obviously stabilize prices to a degree, but reinsurance pricing last year in anticipation of next year would be increased reinsurance pricing and lack of availability for the property markets. In that regard, the state also made some additional revisions in the special session in December to increase additional public capacity for reinsurance through what's called the Florida Optional Reinsurance Program, or the FORA program. Well, this has been obviously a hot topic in the industry for several years, with Florida overrepresenting litigation statistics for property by, in some cases, almost tenfold what it does in the national representation of total claims. This was by far the biggest topic and the biggest concern of the industry that was addressed very, very thoroughly in the new law structure that was set up in the December special session. This is a major change in the market and the way the laws work in the state of Florida for property insurance. I think everyone's hopeful that this is the change that was needed to really get the market back under control and in a place where the industry can do business profitably and fairly to the customer, and present a situation where prices in that are being driven to the consumer ultimately are fair, reasonable, and ultimately something where those folks are really bearing a proper and reasonable cost of their risk. I think there is some material effects that we are seeing from technology in the insurtech space that are fundamentally changing insurance. There's obviously always been a lot of hype around insurtech, a lot of investment in insurtech, and a lot of senior executives and older leadership in the industry that's been somewhat skeptical that the industry really could be dramatically changed by technology. But what we're seeing a lot of effects is basically standard adoption of certain types of technology platforms and technology applications that are changing the ground level of how insurance companies operate. Those are largely driven by data acquisition, data availability, and some basic applications of things like visual AI for roof inspections, for understanding the property interior through self-inspection. Some of those types of AI tools are really making the collection of information in near real time very, very possible. And for property, those are really becoming very adopted widely by carriers. Well, I think what you saw in response to those elections, at least from the insurance side, was a stronger dedication that was demonstrated in the special session in December towards real reform in how litigation and attorney representation works in the state of Florida. Florida has basically reached a Republican supermajority within its legislative bodies. So there's not much in the way of ability for counterparties or counter positions to really prove successful. And with that type of command, they were able to push through some actions that were previously not possible within the state. Yes, I think for coastal property specifically, again, Florida being a major market for concern, but also Louisiana, the Gulf states, and even states like California for wildfire. There continues to be structural challenges that even with reforms that we've seen in Florida, there's some take-up reforms in Louisiana that are fixing to be discussed in a special session. That, while folks are hopeful that the markets are starting to heal, that new capital will be attracted, that these reforms will improve the loss situations of carriers that are already in market. The real concern lies still that, reinsurance itself, despite help from the state, is becoming more and more expensive. January 1 renewals, again, were much higher than they had been in previous years. That there could still potentially be crises ahead that are not yet solved because the domestic market carriers that specialize in catastrophe related properties are still faced with really a structural risk to their business, which is the cost of reinsurance and the availability of reinsurance, which at this point still appears to be challenged for upcoming renewals. No, I would definitely believe that we have an optimistic future in the coastal property market. Again, that's coming from a series of challenging years. For the first time, we're really starting to see a concerted and multifaceted effort from individuals who represent capital, new capital that might be interested in coming to the state, Florida and the state of Louisiana, to really try to find products that are suitable for the markets, that offer, again, a good balance of protection to the consumer at an affordable and reasonable price. And so we do see the signs that these markets are starting to heal and starting to have really the infusions of capital, new companies that they need to kind of get back on their feet.